it play and call it work.
Hey there guys, Quirk and Josh here from MiniWarGaming.com to give you a review on the new Warhammer Stormcast Eternals Codex, as well as the new
It's a Battletome, Quirk.
Battletome.
It's right there. I guess you can't really see it, can you?
No, I'm blind. That was really mean. Why would you bring that up? So, in this video we're going to be doing a short review for you guys, going over some of the stuff that's in this book, and then we're also going to be finishing the review in the Vault. So if you're not already a Vault member, you're going to want to check that out so that you get a full review on this new book. But without further ado, Josh, take it away.
Okay, so two new products that we've got right now. So we've got the actual Battletome itself, and we've got the War Scroll cards. So I'm going to start talking about the War Scroll cards because it's probably what I'm... Like, I love the book, but this is the one that kind of got me. So it is... Because I was complaining about not having these.
You were.
The other day... I think by the time this goes up, no, I've got a couple videos that aren't going to be out yet that I filmed with playing a little bit of Stormcast before the new stuff. So, but we talked at length about how it'd be so much handier to have unit cards.
Yeah.
So we were talking about making them because the books, like I don't like digital stuff.
No.
Chubby fingers.
Okay.
So and I'm not good with technology.
Bony fingers, I'm usually pretty good.
But this is kind of interesting in that I get to now just pick out the units I have, and I've got the rules right on hand there. Flipping through the book's kind of a pain, especially if I'm holding the camera and all that, but I don't know. I really like the fact that they did this. So they've got the full rules for everything here. The only thing that you would still need the Battletome for is things like the artifacts and all that, which we'll get into. You still need the rule book and the points out of that.
Yeah.
But
I will say, I'm going to jump straight to a negative on these really quick. I think they're absolutely phenomenal. They cover pretty much everything on the page you'd find in the book. I just wish that they would add the points to it.
Okay, so it'd be handy if they had added the points. My counter argument to that is the fact that you've got a ton of space if you want to write notes, including the points on them.
Fair enough.
I'm not the type that, it would be desecrating these cards to put anything on them. So yeah, if I've got the book, it would not take me long to go through and just jot down the points on everything here. And I've got room for any errata or anything else that I want. I can just add it right in.
Along with that, the material they're made out of, I'm not sure, we haven't tested it, and I'm not sure if we're going to, but I would almost say you could almost get away with putting a dry erase marker on these.
Ooh, I don't know.
Maybe, but if you were able to put a dry erase marker on that, it'd be great, because you have a ton of room on these pages, like about only this much of the
If you
page.
really wanted to be that guy that did that anyways, you could just laminate them.
That's true, you could.
Even if that wouldn't work. But
yeah, there's a ton of room right on the bottom half of this to put anything on there, like the artifacts your characters might have, any special effects that might be applying to them for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Things like that. Or
things to keep track of. That's a good point, too, yeah.
So the downside is they are a very odd shape, like the size and shape of them, so it's not going to be like you can go to like your local card store and get a case for these.
Right, so you wouldn't have to go for the laminating or something like that. Again, my counterpoint to that is playing War Machine, I had a tendency to lose the cards.
Fair enough.
And the cards were a little bit small. This is, I don't know, this tends to work pretty well.
Yeah.
Your watch is the funniest thing ever. I don't get you kids and your technology.
I was getting a phone call. I didn't want to answer it. I'm doing my work.
So other than that, yeah, this is basically like straight out of the book, everything you would need to have other than the basic stuff, which you could just jot down if you didn't want to bring your book with you.
Yeah, it literally looks like they just took pages from the book. Hang on, let me find one here. I'm doing a terrible job. Talk while I'm doing this. Talk while I'm doing this.
It's right here.
There we go.
There you go.
Hey, he found it. So, to give you an example, that's what the page looks like. That's what the card looks like. It's almost like they just shrunk it down.
They could afforded to make these maybe a little bit bigger, but in the future, I guess, if there's things with more rules that might need more space. Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking if you get something like any of the Tzeentch stuff, I could see them having no trouble filling these up.
Right.
Because the text on the cards is kind of small. If you're hard at reading, it's a lot smaller than what you get in the books. You're probably going to need your glasses or something like that to read it. Because there's no way that even at half an arm's length away, I can't read that. It's too small.
Really?
Yeah.
I had terrible eyes. I can read it just fine.
I would lose that. Look at this. No. If it's on a table and you're standing up, maybe. But I don't know. I think with all the room they had available, they could have made the text a little bit bigger for some of the cards. But I can understand them leaving all this room available just to keep it a standard text and font size across
Right.
the board, and then leaving them the room available for any of the Zinch stuff as an example with all the crazy
True.
special rules.
And this also leads into the interesting, if they are going to release more rules for stuff and like new units, I guess they could just put the cards out.
Yep.
I mean, you've got access on the app.
Well, I would say access it on the app. Say there's a new card that comes out or an errata that comes out. That could just be these could go in a White Dwarf.
Yeah.
No question, could these go in a White Dwarf?
Yeah, they could just put it. Yeah, I don't know. This is one of my favorite things Games Workshop has done for a while, and I like a lot of the stuff they've been doing, especially recently.
Yep.
These I would not leave home without. Okay, so we know I'm a big fan of them. So I guess my
Yes.
question to you, and answer honestly, is because neither of us are really Stormcast players.
No.
And neither of us are your standard players in that we don't got to worry about transporting a whole lot to and from because we work here in the studio. What would you use for the rules? Like, would you buy the cards? Would you stick with the book? You'd stick with the book.
I personally, like, if I had to choose between the two, I would stick with the book. I can see playing with these being super helpful, but if you want to go to your local game store, you want to go to a tournament, you want to go to anything like that, it's basically an extra thing you got to carry around. Because everything that the cards offer is available in the book, as well as all the rules if there's a rules question. If you just take the cards, then people are going to start asking you, well, what's the special artifact that you have? What does it do here? Say you start playing anything with a random effect that's only available in the book.
I guess so.
Then you're out that, and there's no cards in there that show you all the artifacts. So if they had printed a card with all the artifacts and the stats on that, then yeah, by all...
I don't think they did, no.
No, I'm almost positive they didn't. Because it's,
Yeah, it's just the, okay, so
it's just all the
cards.
units. So without having the artifacts, the tomes, and the prayers, and everything else available to you, no, I would have to say I would take the book with me still. If they printed a card that shows, all of the options that you can take and all of the, like the Stormcast trait,
Okay.
then yeah, by all means, I would say this is a dead ringer. It'd be a lot easier because on the
Right.
board, it's a lot easier for somebody to say, hey, what do your Vanguard Hunters do? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because I mean, you could just have the cards for whatever units you're going to use.
Exactly.
Personally, I don't know. I would ditch the book, or at least have the book. Like, it wouldn't be my main go-to.
No, obviously these would be the main go-to if you're playing a game and you just need to reference like what's the attacks available or the hit roll or what's the save, what's the bravery, things like that. It's nice having these readily available because they can fit off to the side. They're not going to get in the way, whereas a book can take up
Yeah, you
quite
could
a
have
bit
a
more
couple
room.
just in the corner, and that's not going to really get in the way of anything you're doing there. So personally, I'm super excited for this. You guys need to do this with the rest of the armies. That's directed at Games Workshop, not the
not the viewers.
I guess some of the guys at GW watch our stuff, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
On my behalf, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Wow. So overall, slam dunk. I think this is awesome. They
would
need to do more of this.
I would definitely give it a solid 3 out of 5 hammers.
Only 3 out of 5 hammers.
Only 3 out of 5.
I don't know. This is near perfect. This is 4.5 out of 5 hammers for me. I like hammers. I really. They're taking everything in the right direction, and the accessibility to rules is one of the things I love so much about what they're doing with Age of Sigmar. Fantastic, fantastic.
To jump back on something really quick, I agree. This is a great idea. This is something very smart that they did. How is it any different from somebody going and taking their book and making a photocopy of it and just printing out the war scrolls that they use?
Okay, so it's not really that different. It's the convenience. They're there, they're nice. You just go to the store, you buy them.
Fair enough.
So I mean, it's one of those things where I like when companies put out all the gaming aids you could need, whether or not I would choose to use them or aftermarket ones or do it myself. Whatever. I like the fact that they have the option.
Yeah.
This is such a friendly game to get into.
It just makes life easier to have the cards, I guess, because
Right.
it's less of a. It's a little bit less intimidating when you say, okay, here's the 4 cards you're going to need. If you're talking to a new player, if you say, here's the 4 cards you're going to need, as opposed to, okay, read this.
Yep, and this is one too, like when your opponent asks to read the rules, like instead of hand the whole book over the table and drop it, because I don't know, have you ever done that?
Maybe.
I've had my stuff crushed before when I'm playing people, and I'm like, can I just read that rule because I want to see it? And the book gets dropped onto my army, and I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Cards. So yeah, they're lightweight, they're not heavy, they get the little sleeve to carry them in. This is near perfect. The size, a little bit awkward. I don't mind it because I like having room to write. I would take these and laminate them though.
Yep.
I would. And also coming with that,
Oh, yeah.
we've got a couple different things here. Tokens. And everybody loves tokens. So we've got tokens for all of your different types of terrain, which is one of the big reasons that, I mean, I don't like using the terrain rules because a lot of the players we're having in for Age of Sigmar right now are still relatively new.
Yep.
And
when you start playing with a terrain rule, it gets a little bit.
it can be
gets
a little bit
wonky.
much. But having tokens to keep track is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
As well as you get some generic tokens. I don't know what these are necessarily meant for, other than whatever you need them for. I guess I think
Which
they're
ones?
just these ones. I think they're just generic tokens for whatever you need to mark, which is kind of nice.
I can see objectives even.
Use them for objectives. Use them to mark who has swung in combat so far.
Yep.
Use them to mark who needs a bravery test. What kind of whatever
That's
you need
on
them
these
for.
ones.
Oh,
We've got these ones here that have 5 battle shock ones. We've got 4 smaller ones and 1 larger one for I guess your bigger.
yeah, for units that allow to take battle shock.
Yeah, bigger units. Oh, sorry, you've
Sweet.
got 5 here. There's 5 of them here and one larger one there. It's got all of their prayers on here that you can give out. It's also got inspiring presence. You've got your basically all the special abilities for all the special characters right there. So yeah, this right here bumps that purchase up for me from 3 hammers to 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
Almost
so
4.
yeah, that comes with the War Scroll cards.
Yep.
So you've got your tokens and your cards, which I mean, it's pretty easy to draw parallels to another company that does something similar, perhaps.
Possibly.
Except for
I think this is doing it a little bit better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Kudos to Games Workshop. The really awesome product you guys put out on this one. This is going to make me, and I mean, like, this is going to make it easier for me to do my job. So I
Yes.
can only assume it make it easier for other people to play.
To enjoy their hobby. I like it. I'm excited to see more come out.
The other thing too, it's nice because I can never remember the names of any of the Stormcast.
Yeah, so now you'll just be like, oh, these are my.
I know what I have in the army.
No more trying
sound
to
like
flip through the iPad
Slightly
or.
less of a fool. Yeah, I hate the iPad. Anything that needs power to run and just cords, and it's a mess.
Well, it's because anytime you try and tap add unit, you hit like 4 different units because you got chubby fingers.
Yeah.
All right, so putting the cards away, let's take a look at the actual.
Yeah, let's take a look at the book.
All right, so open it up. We have lore.
The full book.
The full book. So for those of you out there looking to get it and wonder how much of it there is, this giant chunk is all your narrative. It's all your narrative.
Narrative and pictures, right?
Narrative, and you got your heavy metal in here.
Okay, yeah.
So you got heavy metal. Then we get into 1,000 Tempests.
Which is your actual Start of the Forces of Sigmar.
Yep.
So they have included in this quite a few different things.
There's a lot of parallels that can be drawn between this and the Zinch stuff.
Right, the Zines book. Well, because so we look at releases that have come out since the General's Handbook. We've talked about this a bunch. So we've got your Beastclaw Raiders.
Yep.
We have got Sylvaneth.
Yep.
I say Sylvaneth second because I don't like people that play Sylvaneth because Gwyn. And then we've got Zinch, and then we've got your Stormcast.
Oh,
so
and Iron Jaws.
Did the Iron Jaws come out after General's Handbook or before? I think it was before. I'm pretty sure it was before because they don't have their own unique artifacts or command traits, do they?
Yes, they do.
Do they?
Oh no, they don't. No, they don't. They have a couple unique items, but they don't have their own command trait. They just use the destruction one.
You just want to say something?
I just want
Just
to.
hadn't said anything in a while.
I feel like I haven't said anything in a while. And I feel like Iron Jaws don't get enough attention.
Okay. So that actually leads into talking about factions like the Iron Jaws, the Fire Slayers, Bloodbound, and some of the other stuff. Flesh Eater Courts. Mm-hmm. So we had them put out books, and everything after the General's Handbook felt far superior.
Yes.
Things felt better thought out, planned out, and the fact that they had their own unique command traits, artifacts. They were fully fledged armies. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's plenty of option to play, I'm going to play pure Khorne Bloodbound, but it's good to mix in some chaos stuff. Mm-hmm. Stormcast was pretty strong, but playing pure Stormcast against some of those other factions, the newer factions, didn't feel right.
No, it felt like you were playing with not every option available to you, whereas they had.
Well, it felt like you were playing with the previous edition
Yeah.
of the game, and it was a book that needed to get caught up.
You still didn't have to pretend you were riding a horse to get a bonus, but.
Yeah, the silliness there. So I'm really excited for the fact that they went back because there was a lot of talk in the office about how they were going to do things for these previous armies. Like, are these guys going to be waiting forever to get anything? Like, are they just going to be forgotten about? Mm-hmm. And no, so they went back with the Stormcast, and they have brought the book and the faction itself up to the level of Sylvaneth, Beastclaw, and Tzeentch. I'd say actually, because yeah, Beast Claw doesn't have that much. They still feel kind of like a sub faction, but they were a newer one, so they were super exciting. I love what they're doing with this. So some of the things that they've added in is battle traits, command traits, artifacts of power, new prayers, and steeds. So everything they didn't have.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay.
All of my big complaints about Stormcast, and you'll probably see me talking in some of the videos that I played, and kind of grumbling about the fact that the Stormcast didn't feel fully fleshed out compared to some of the new stuff. This fixes all that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. So I've been talking a lot. So you said you were more excited for the book.
I was more excited for the book mostly because just literally going down this list, the first thing they have is the battle traits, narrative and.
So yeah, battle traits is your overall army trait. So that would be replacing the order reroll.
The order. Yeah.
The generic one. So because I'm still getting the lingo down for a lot of this. So when you say battle trait, I'm like, huh? Oh, it's the army special rule essentially.
So it's basically as long as your army is completely Stormcast Eternals, you have the following ability with every single model in your unit, and it's called Scions of the Storm.
Yep.
So what it does is it's very comparable to 40K. Waiting for him to hit me.
It's okay.
All right, I'm just gonna. You'll see me bug him about this as much as I possibly can. So what you get to do is instead of deploying your army normally, what you can do is put them in the Celestial Realm reserves.
Now, do you get to put everything in the realm, or just any units you choose?
No, instead. So the wording for it, I'm going to kind of pseudo it so we don't get in trouble here. But instead of setting up your Stormcast units on the battlefield, you can place to one side and set them up in the Celestial Realm. You can do this with as many units as you'd like. Okay. So you don't have to put everything on the board. Some of the bigger things you want on there, maybe to hold objectives for you certainly can. But if you want, you can stick stuff in the Celestial Realm. And in the start of the movement phase, you roll a die for each of those units, and on a 1 or 2, they stay in the Celestial Realm. On a 3+, you can place them anywhere you want on the battlefield as long as they are 9 inches away from an enemy model.
Okay, so I'm going to keep asking questions just to make sure. When you do this, do you each turn you roll, or you pick what turns you want to roll on?
It says, again, pseudo saying it here, but it says you can do this as many in the start of each of the units' movement phases. So in each of your movement phases, roll a die.
With as many units as you wish, in each of your movement phases, roll a dice for each of these units.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do get a roll. Okay, so it's not as guaranteed, because I know there's some stuff where you just pick when they come in.
Yeah. Like you got the Celestin Prime, who's
the Prime just shows up.
Whenever you want.
So in this one, if they're in the Celestial Realm, it looks like you get a roll.
You got to roll
each
3+. And it's in the start of the movement phase on a 3+. You can place that unit anywhere you want on the board, 9 inches away from an enemy model.
It doesn't say, so in a result of 3 or more, the unit is transported to the battlefield. It's not maybe transporter, you may set up.
So you don't have to go and get scatter dice or anything.
Which feels pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah, that feels about right, because I mean, if they were able to come in automatically, or if you got to pick for sure what turn you started rolling on or anything like that, that'd be a bit much.
But you got a 66% chance of getting getting that unit on the board. High enough that it's pretty good, but you still have that chance of messing it up.
And you just got to be smart about what order you do them in.
Exactly. So.
Okay.
Neat battle. It's a neat battle trait. The fact that you can do that to your entire army, it gives you a lot of flexibility in the games types you might be playing, because it gives you that option to turn 1 jump on a lot of objectives really far away. Also gives you the option to start jumping in on your opponent's side of the board. So if you have an opponent who's very mobile, wants to rush one of the units you have sitting all alone, or maybe 1 or 2 of the units you have, they start rushing up, you can start dropping your guys right behind them, and now you've got them completely.
Well, it gives you mobility and lets you control the field a little bit better. That it does help. So it's not as crazy, easy to control mobility like something like Sylvaneth has, but at least it would let me keep up. Because that was one of my big gripes against Sylvaneth, is I can't keep up with anything, because I tend to play these slower armies, and I mean Stormcast had some mobile stuff, but not that much. They were a slower army.
I think it was their the Judicators, the winged ones, that were probably that and the Celestin were like your most mobile units, because they were the ones that had anything higher than like a 6 move.
Right, and we'll get into some of the cavalry units from Extremis Chamber, which we're still waiting to get stuff in.
Their movement 10.
Yeah, their move 10. They're quick. That's regular heavy cavalry move in the game. I think Chaos Knights are movement 10.
So that's not too bad. It's not Sylvaneth. It's not I'm going to place this forest and jump to it. So you're not going to be able to jump all the way around the board and suddenly have this instant ability to move around. But further on in the book, you do start to see where the Stormcast kind of have their own version of that, where they can jump on the board, they can get into combat. Once they're out of combat, they can jump off the board, they can come back on the board. They've got a lot of basic like jumping around, going up into the sky, getting thrown down again by a lightning bolt. Having the entire army off the boards can really mess with your opponent's strategy because they need to know where everything is, and it gives you a very, very good opening hand to try and counter deploy your units, especially since there's no randomness to how they're placed.
How much Magic the Gathering have you been playing lately?
Why?
With your opening hand.
I said that once.
I'm bugging.
I've been playing it a lot. Leave me alone.
Okay, so it's probably worth noting everything we're talking about now. We're kind of framing within match play because that's pretty well what we do here right now. We've dabbled into open play a little bit. Not quite figured out how to do that best in videos to have it still be, good, entertaining videos.
Well, anytime we try and do open play, it ends up becoming match play because it's okay. Well, what are you bringing? Okay, well, this is what I'll bring.
There's a lot of negotiation.
There's a lot of negotiation. By the time it's done, it's like, okay, well, we pretty much have like our armies within about 100 points of each other. So. And
we're getting closer to being ready to do some proper narrative stuff. The collection isn't as extensive. What was that?
Just need a few more models.
Yeah, the collection isn't as extensive as we've got for like 40K right now, but we're getting close to being able to do some proper good narrative stuff, which will lead into something else actually that I'm pretty happy that they put in here. That was not, I don't think they did it for Sylvaneth or Beast Claws, but I'm sure they can just put it out for free. They've got, where is it? Path to Glory.
Are we jumping straight to that? We got more stuff to talk about.
No, Path to Glory.
Okay, all right. We'll take turns picking stuff. You want to talk about Path to Glory? Go right ahead. You talk about Path to Glory.
Thanks. I was going to do it anyway.
I was going to say I'm gonna get punched when the camera's off, but whatever.
No, I was going to talk over you.
Okay.
Sorry, Justin. So yeah, they've got the full Path to Glory setup in here. So when the General's Handbook came out, I think Steve and I did the review. You weren't there for the review for that, right?
I was not.
When Steve and I did the review, a lot of positive things to say about the General's Handbook. But the one thing is that the Path to Glory charts they gave you felt kind of lame.
They were a little scattered all over the place. Like some armies are getting amazing starting armies, and other armies are just
here's 10 zombies.
Yeah, there's nothing for them.
So I like that with looking at the new releases and how they're doing the books, they're keeping in mind that there's more than just the match play. They're sticking with there's 3 ways to play here.
Yep.
So with this, they've got the full charts and all that for multiple different champions.
Quite a few, actually.
What they do is they give you the option here to do a regular Stormcast, Warband, and then they also go into the Storage Chambers, which lets you get into Strike Chamber, Extremist Chamber, and Vanguard Auxiliary. So if you want to have a more narratively themed Force of Stormcast, you are able to do that. It's only 2 pages worth of stuff here as far as units you can take, but it's really well fleshed out, well thought out. I don't know, everything's just good. I really like the way they're doing this. And then, of course, you flip over and you've got your follower rewards and your champion rewards.
And they're all, for the most part, they're usually fairly similar across the board on what you get for your Path to Glory. Like, they've got their little fluffy feel to them, but along the same lines, it's... Narrative feel to them. Fine. But you've got things like, for example, this one for the followers is called Iron Discipline. You don't have to take battle shock tests. That's almost a staple.
The unit never has to take battle shock tests, yeah.
But
you got to roll on these, though, anyway.
Yeah, you have to roll on them.
You get that, that's good for everything.
But I was going to say, it's very common to what you'll see across different armies' follower tables, where it's something very similar, where it's, okay, well, you still have to take battle shock tests, but you get to roll 2 dice, take the lowest. You get to
re-roll.
Yeah. So they've got it's very similar, but I like the narrative feel to this one.
Right. Which is very exciting for me because I think it's well known that we love Path to Glory here.
Yes.
Because it's a fun campaign type for us to film that kind of the narrative helps to write itself. So I'm not of course I can't make any promises on what kind of content we're going to do at any given time.
But this is definitely.
But I want to do this.
This is definitely a tool that will push us to want to do a narrative.
If they keep doing this, there's so many cool options. Because this is one that I mean, sometimes there's stuff that we're excited for here at MiniWarGaming. that less people are excited for because it really reflects the nature of what we're doing for our jobs. And then the same vice versa. There's stuff here that, man, we don't really care about it because it doesn't fit in with what we're doing for our videos. But this is one that I think we're super excited about, and that your regular players should be excited about, because
this is something that's very, very easy for anybody who's just getting into it, already has a huge Stormcast army, somebody who just wants to try.
Or somebody who's new to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was saying, somebody who's just getting new to it and wants to start building it. This is a great way for somebody to start building their army because it's a fun way, it's a narrative-based way that you can go to your local store, you can play through this, you can start doing your Paths to Glory, you can have even a store Paths to Glory league is possible where you have people playing against each other and their armies build on like a weekly basis. Having this option available to multiple armies means that it can get newer players more interested in starting the game and building up their armies.
Good, solid resources. I love what they are doing with this. Because, okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, because I've never done it for 40k, but 40k Path to Glory is only Chaos, right?
Yes.
Which is cool in itself.
It's
but
definitely, Chaos have enough available to them that it's very easy to go hundreds of different ways. With Stormcast, it's very...
Well, I'm talking about like them if they start doing this for more 40k armies.
Yeah, no, but what I was getting at is that with Stormcast, it's not like, okay, I want to start playing Stormcast, and I'm really interested in playing Stormcast Eternals, like the... Thank you so much.
The Strike Chamber?
Thank you. I really want to play a Strike Chamber. It's not a Path to Glory type thing where you leave it up to the dice gods and they say, okay, no, you're not playing Strike Chamber, you're playing this instead.
Right, because it lets you go either ways on that.
Yeah, it lets you pick, and then from there, it's like, okay, well, it's the options you have available here. Even if you rolled every single time and got the same one, it's not going to hinder your ability to build an army because everything in this list is usable in regular match play, in narrative play, in Path to Glory. So, yeah, there's nothing on here. There's nothing on this list alone that I wouldn't say, yeah, I could see why somebody would want maybe 4 or 5 of these. Any of them. Right.
They're good stuff. They're like I said, the most exciting bit for me is that they've done really good things with this faction. I'm not a Chaos player. I've dabbled into playing Chaos every once in a while because I'm still trying to find my Age of Sigmar Grand Alliance. Even I like to stay within. Right now, it's still Destruction.
You get out of my alliance.
Why is it your alliance? I'm better at it than you.
I have more of it than you.
You don't.
Oh yeah, I don't anymore.
Even that, we never had a Destruction off battle, did we?
No, we never. No, not on camera we didn't. But there was your ogres versus my spider riders, which went terrible for you because it was just.
You needed to win. I was being nice.
Thanks.
No problem. It's what I'm here for. To help you out, Quirk. But yeah, back on topic. This has got me really interested in playing Stormcast. I don't want to say I was forcing myself to play it in the last couple of games.
But it almost feels
But I
like
wonder if it's going to come across in the video. People keep making fun of my Eeyore voice.
Okay.
This is what I sound like. But this has got me really interested in getting into playing a lot more Stormcast. Almost maybe, I don't say this is my secondary faction because I don't really have a primary faction yet. I've still been bouncing around, but they got some really cool stuff. Now, we talked a little bit about it off camera, but in your opinion, Quirk, does it feel like they're getting away from the Grand Alliance armies? Like, you can still do them. They're not taking that away from you.
No.
But with all the cool bonuses you get in this.
I'm gonna explain it to the viewers the same way I kind of explained it to you. They're doing something very similar to what they did in 40K, in my personal opinion.
Okay.
And that is, when you look at 40K, you've got an entire slew of armies. You've got, you got the Space Marines, you've got Blood Angels, you've got Grey Knights, you've got Sisters, you've got Imperial Guard. Okay. I just named off 5 right there. Those are all forces of the Imperium.
All armies of the Imperium, yeah.
All armies of the Imperium. Then you start looking at, okay, well, you got Necrons, you got Tyranids, you got Tau, you got Orcs. Those are all Xenos. So you have your things that are sectioned off.
Right.
So they're starting to do the same thing here, where it's like, okay, yeah, we've got order, yeah, we've got chaos, yeah, we've got destruction, yeah, we've got death. But when you start looking at them more in depth, it's like, okay, we'll take destruction as an example. You've got your Iron Jaws, you've got your Savage Orcs, you've got your Spider Riders, you've got your Ogres, you've got your Fire Eaters, you've got your... And it just goes on and on and on. You look at Order, you've got your Stormcast, you've got your Sylvaneth, you've got your...
And for the longest time, those factions, weren't fleshed out enough to really play them on their own that well.
Yeah, but now it's starting to look a little bit more like, okay, you have Order. Order is kind of like a giant banner that goes over all of these different armies.
That feels like what they're starting to do with the armies of the Imperium.
Yes. So, for example, you start to see with armies of the Imperium, yeah, there are all these different armies and all these different forces, but how many armies can use a Rhino?
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Same thing applies to this. It might be a fantasy aspect, but now it's, okay, well, Order, you all have access to these things. Quicksilver Potion.
Yeah, so your generic,
you got your generic
traits and artifacts.
And you have your army-specific ones, where, again, if you look at it with 40k, you've got, everybody can use a Rhino, but only sisters can use the Executioner.
Okay, yeah.
So that's my comparison between the two. I can see kind of where they're going with it and how they're kind of comparing it to that, but in the same breath, I can see how they're trying to make it a little bit more fantasy-esque, a little bit more, we're trying to stick with magic and prayer and potions and, magical artifacts and things like that, as opposed to vehicles and stuff. So there is some comparisons. I think that's what they're starting to do with this a little bit, is you still have the giant banner that is Order, but we're starting to get breakdowns. We're starting to get them. They're hammering out the full armies that will work on their own underneath the banner of Order, and it gives you that option to kind of mix them, but you can still play them as their own. And if you play them as their own, here's the benefits you get from it.
Yeah, it's starting to, because one thing I didn't like for 40k is when they did the whole Unbound. Bring whatever. It didn't feel right, but in this it still feels. You can do that in open play, I guess.
Yeah.
But still, for match play, the option that you can play an Order army or you can play a more specific one, and they feel different. They both feel right. They've made it very open in what you want to bring, without it just being, bring whatever you want to bring.
Yeah.
Because that,
Well, for example, you'll see like somebody bring a Sylvaneth army,
Yep.
and they bring a High Elf priest.
Yep.
And you know what? I could narratively see how that could work.
Yeah.
And it plays very well on the board.
So, overall, I continue to be very excited about what the direction that they're taking Age of Sigmar in. I don't know. I like everything they're doing right now. It just there's nothing I have a complaint about. The fact that the books still aren't the cheapest books in the world, but they're not that bad price point wise. Like if I was a Stormcast player and I had bought some of the original books and then this one came out, I don't think I'd be cranky about taking this one.
No, not at all.
But,
my turn to pick something. Oh, am I cutting you off?
Well, no. I was going to say I think our time is up, Quirky.
Let me finish at least the Allegiance ability, because we're still talking about that, and it's a nice way to kind of finish off and go into the...
So you're going to go into command traits?
I'm going to go into command traits.
Well, fine.
Because I like the command traits here. So one of the things that we saw as soon as we started looking at this book is Steve basically I opened the book, I was like, oh, new command traits. And Steve went, oh, is there anything comparable to the Quicksilver Potion? Not a trait, it's an artifact, but still I was like, oh, well, maybe. So I started going through it. And yeah, you've got things like the Shield of Faith, which gives you a 4-up save against any mortal wounds, which is awesome. You've got your
5-up save.
Sorry, did I say? Oh, I'm thinking of the other one. 5 or more. 5-up save against mortal wounds. You've got.
That's pretty what? Ooh.
Yeah. So now you've got.
Which again, that's a huge weakness for Stormcast. Is just mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Okay, having a 5-up save against any mortal wounds is pretty cool.
This is the one I really like, is the Consummate Commander. Choose one other hero in your army. While your general is alive, the model you choose can also use any command abilities it may have as if it were your general. That is huge!
Huh. Okay, so in addition to their command abilities, if they're a hero, the general of the Stormcast Eternals army can have a command trait from the list below. So he can have the command trait where he picks a different hero. Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Okay, I can dig that.
Yeah. So this is all things that we're going to get into in the vault portion of this, is kind of seeing like not list breakdowns, but like strategy breakdowns and things like that. But you start looking at things like Cunning Strategist. Once both armies are set up, but before the first battle round begins, like D3 friendly Stormcast Eternal units, they can each move up to 5 inches. So take that into consideration with their battle trade as a whole. You've got your hero, who doesn't have to be on the board for this, because it just says once they're set up. Doesn't say he has to be on the board for it.
Because you're setting up in the Celestial Realm.
Yep.
Okay.
You have your units on the board, so you've got 3. Your opponent deploys and you are looking across from them. Most of your army is currently in the Celestial Realm, and you've got your units on the board. You now roll that D3. You're averaging a 2. Well, actually, yeah, you're averaging... Actually, no, it's a single die, so it could be anything. But if it's 1 unit, that's a great chance for you to take one of those units and put them somewhere else. If it's somebody who kind of is very important and you need them to hold an objective, you can do that. If you're thinking, you know what, I see how you've deployed and I kind of want to rush you and you happen to get 3, all 3 units can move up that 5 inches and give you extra space. So it's a nice, it's almost like a scout move in 40k, but it's a counter scout move to a unit to an army that's going to be able to deep strike wherever they want. It gives you more board control.
Yeah.
So I like that.
5-inch move. I don't know, it's more random and not much distance. So far the other ones are much more.
They are much better, but I'm just thinking like as a whole, if you were to roll for them,
okay.
That's still a very good one. The one that I'm not too excited about is this one. So we got.
You're not excited about this?
Because here's the thing, it's Zealous Crusader. Your general can re-roll their charge distance. Not your general and like X amount of units. It's just your general. So what happens if you pick a general who is more of a supporty character?
Well, then you don't pick that one.
Roll for it. I mean, and you happen to get that.
Well,
No, I know. But yeah, it's definitely good if you have a very offensive guy who's going to be charging right in there. You can bring him in and get anywhere from 9 inches away to 6 inches away from an enemy
you're
unit.
guy in a Star Drake or something like that.
And now it's just like, I'm on a Star Drake charge. So next up we have Starch Defender.
How did that go again?
I'm not doing it again. Your general and all friendly Stormcast Eternals units within 6 add 1 to their save roll if they have not charged this turn. This modifier does not stack with the save roll modifier for being within or on a terrain feature.
Ooh.
So now your general is just a giant 6-inch, 12, like.
So that's what you would take for your support character that's going to stand back and camp an objective with a unit. And yeah, no, you can't hurt it. Okay,
No?
that's pretty good.
And then the last one here is Champion of the Realms. Choose one of your general's weapons. It cannot be a weapon used by the mount. Increase its attack characteristic by 1. Now, I'm still not sure about this. If it is, say, for example, you want to do something that is attacks D6. Is that D6 plus 1?
Yep.
Or does that become 2D6?
No, it's D6 plus 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, not a terrible thing. Definitely helps out when you consider some of the crazy strong stuff that the weapons available are. There's a couple of them where it's like just if you do a wound on a 6, it doesn't do 1 wound, it does D6 mortal wounds.
Yeah, so it's pretty similar to what's the order one everybody always takes? Legendary Fighter?
Yes.
So except for you can't switch weapons with this one, you just pick one. But
yep.
I think for most of the time, like you're gonna do, it's your like the Lord Celestin with his sword. You're not gonna pick for him to hit once more with his hammer that doesn't do as much. You're gonna be picking to have the sword be it.
Yeah.
So and this one you just pick ahead of time. That still makes sense.
So, anyway, guys, that's going to be it for our free portion of this review for the Stormcast. Is it Stormcast Eternals? I don't even know what. Stormcast Eternals Order Battletome. I know what we're talking about. Josh, you finish that off because I'm going to.
All right, guys. So, yeah, this is going to wrap up the YouTube
we
portion.
We are failing at this.
The non-vault portion of this video. Go ahead and click the link below. It'll take you to the vault video. We're going to go more in depth of some of the new units as well as like.
You got the.
See if we can come up because I have not. I'll admit that the artifacts and all that I haven't really read in depth yet.
I've gone through most of the artifacts. They are fantastic, and the fact that you get three different tables to pick from is disgusting. So you've got basically 18.
So click on the link below.
It's just, I'm like, take the book away from me because I'm just gonna keep talking.
Click on the link below. Take you to the vault portion of this. So we're gonna go a little bit more in depth with the book. We kind of maybe some of our plans of what we want to bring in the future because I'm going to start playing more Stormcast. Maybe not like immediately, but pretty soon.
Immediately.
Don't make fun of the kid with the mush mouth. If you're not a Vault member, you can click the link below anyways. Take you to a 7-day free trial. You can check this Vault video out as well as everything else we have in the Vault. Everything we do in pairs. Twice as much content. Chris and Janine's
I already know this.
Look
at
tricks. Well, you keep talking if I don't look at you. You're like the ghost from Mario.
I'm trying to talk over and you won't let me.
Okay. Chris and Janine's painting tips and tricks, all sorts of other fun stuff in the Vault. Check it out, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, happy wargaming.
Bye, guys.